Okay, hey everybody, you didn't think I was there. I'm here. I had to get everything set up, and that's why we said the Facebook Live is starting soon, not necessarily right away. Let me see. Let me get this out of here. I'm working on kind of a new system here, so bear with me. We're going to talk a little bit this evening about this disturbance that's in the Gulf of Mexico. And no, I see you replying that the sound is off, but now the sound is on. So you guys should be able to hear me just fine. We're going to talk about the disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico and then also about this disturbance number 2 that's beginning to enter the Caribbean Sea. Let's start with what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico. And quite honestly, not a lot right now is going on. But what we do have going on is this area of disturbed weather just off the Louisiana coast. Now, this has a 40% chance of becoming a depression in the next 48 hours, somewhere in this orange area. And the other thing you can gather from this orange area is that it's likely going to be drifting back toward the Texas coast. This isn't a track. This is where it's likely going to be developing. But right now, what we're concerned with is that we're going to be on the east side of this. And so that's going to increase our chance for seeing some heavy downpours over the next couple of days, maybe some localized flooding as well. This is what it looks like this evening on the clouds and radar together. And we're going to talk about this as well in a second. There's a little area of low pressure trying to develop in that area right there. But it looks like it's getting ready to move to the northeast. And the reason it has that look is because we have a little bit of wind shear going on. Okay, so it's not moving back in our direction per se, but there is some shear in the atmosphere. This is where the Hurricane Center analyzed the low pressure this evening, and notice that all the thunderstorms are off to the north and east of this weak area of low pressure. So we do have some wind shear going on. Here's our water vapor, and there's an upper low over Mexico. Here's tropical wave Invest 95 here off the Louisiana coast, and that is creating southwesterly winds over the Gulf of Mexico. We can see that here. There's the upper low, and there you can see these unfavorable winds that are pushing against the investigation area. And that is what is going to limit the potential for development. Let me check in to see who is... Mary's checking in, and Joe says, yay, showers for my flowers. Well, that makes sense. At any rate, the good news is this isn't likely to get to be a real strong system, and there is rain needed along the Texas and Louisiana coast. We just don't want the flooding. The water temperatures aren't going to be an issue. These are the water temperature anomalies, but I thought I'd point these out. I've had a bunch of emails from folks over the last several days or several weeks about this, and where you see the reds and the pinks, that means water's running a lot hotter than normal all across the northern Gulf Coast. And the big reason for that is that we've been in this drought and we had this searing heat for the last couple of weeks. We haven't had a lot of rain over the northern Gulf to help maybe temper those water temperatures just a little bit. So they are running warmer than normal. But again, this is going to be moving more in the direction toward the Texas coast. So let's look at the computer models tonight. And that kind of reaffirms what I was telling you guys, that whether this develops into a depression or not, the main core, the main low, is going to move toward the west over the next couple of days. So here's the timeline. There's Wednesday, Thursday, and then into Friday when it'll be well inland. So it's expected to drift to the west and then kind of, curve back up into, looks like parts of south and central Texas. Once that happens, we'll get heavy rain on the upper Texas coast, and some of that could be as far east as southeast Louisiana. We have an old front that's sitting across the area too, so the flood risk for tomorrow is a level 1 marginal risk, but even into Thursday, as we begin the impacts of that low moving in across Texas, we're going to continue with a level 1 flood risk here over the next couple of days. All right, rain potential this week. You can see where the highest rain is right here in the Houston-Galveston area. That's saying up to 5-6 inches of rain where that low may come ashore. But we've got widespread 1 to 2 inch rains. And whenever you see rains painted on a widespread basis like that of 1 to 2 inches, you have to assume there's going to be more than that. I mean, we can get 2 or 3 inches in an hour in just a localized spot. So that's why I think localized flooding is going to be a threat over the next couple of days. So let's go on our 72-hour forecast. Here's where we are right now with the weak low, kind of this trough of low pressure extending east of the low. That's going to kind of move in tandem with it. Now, this is tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. The low is moving toward the Texas coast. And as it does that, it's going to maybe try to come in somewhere around Corpus Christi or a little bit farther north than that. This is tomorrow afternoon. Notice we've got showers and thunderstorms here. It's going to be about like today. Sun and clouds and a few storms. Thursday, that's the day when we may have the chance for heavier rain. This trough is going to be moving across the coastline at the same time. This weak low could be a depression, might even be a tropical storm, a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Regardless, that'll be lifting to the north along with this moisture, and we're going to be in this really deep southerly flow even into Friday. You see active storms all along Interstate 10 there, and then, of course, back into southeast Texas. So still stormy at times and warm and humid as we go into the day on Friday. So here are our rain chances. Tomorrow looks about like today, 40% coverage. Coverage goes up to 70% on Thursday, 60% on Friday, and we kind of start to taper it back down. 4th of July weekend, yeah, there's going to be a chance that we see some storms. Here's the advisory on disturbance number 2, and this is way far to the south and way early for something to develop. But nevertheless, the Hurricane Center still says there's a possibility that may happen tomorrow. It could become Bonnie with 40-mile-per-hour winds near the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao off the coast of Venezuela. Again, there's hardly ever been a storm that has developed off the South American coast this far to the south during the month of June. So this would be super unusual. If it doesn't develop, it might have a second chance when it gets out here over the open waters of the Southwest Caribbean Sea. The shear should be low, and in fact, they're still carrying this as a Category 1 hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds as it gets close to Nicaragua and Costa Rica, mainly Nicaragua, Friday and going into the weekend. It might even move into the Pacific and get a new name there if it redevelops. That is certainly a possibility. Here's a satellite picture of disturbance number 2 tonight, and there's not a lot of organization to it. There's a little burst of storms going on right there, and with that burst of storms, that might mean we're trying to get a little something else organized, a little more of a defined low-level center, but right now it just does not look like all that much from what I can see. Lots of warnings in the Southern Caribbean Sea. If you know people in Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, tropical storm warnings there. Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, some warnings there. And then also along the Colombian and Venezuelan coast, which again, you just about never ever see that happening. Finally, one more system to talk about. And that is, here's disturbance number 2. Another tropical wave, weak, back to the east. Now this one's going to take a more traditional route a little bit farther to the north, and it could develop in the eastern Caribbean Sea or over the Lesser Antilles and near Puerto Rico in the next 5 days. Still a low chance though. Right now that chance is sitting at 30% the way it stands at the current time. So there are the next names: Bonnie, Colin. Maybe the Gulf system gets named. Maybe disturbance number 2 gets named. Maybe neither of them get named. That's also a possibility. But that's where the lists are. And remember, a few weeks ago, we had our first storm, Alex, that formed. Reminder to download to your streaming device our Fox 8 weather app. You can watch our severe weather coverage or just everyday coverage through our weather app. And of course, you can download it to Roku, Apple, Amazon Fire. We have our app located there, so you can watch us through the TV that way or just on your usual mobile devices. So again, the situation tonight is that, well, we've got some storms in the tropics. They don't really look like they're going to be a huge threat. The biggest deal for us, I don't know how that got in there. I don't think we need to show that right now and relive the last 2 years. At any rate, that was from the hurricane special. The bottom line is, guys, is that we could have some heavy rain the next couple of days. I don't think it's going to amount to much more than that, but we could have flooding localized tomorrow and especially Thursday and Friday in a few spots. Along with everything this weekend, you can count on us to stay ahead of the storm. Thanks for bearing with me on this Facebook Live. I'll see you guys on Fox 8 News at 9 and 10.